The U.S. and Iran conflict may be nearing an end, raising hopes that one of the biggest energy shocks in recent years is finally beginning to ease. Now, global oil prices responded immediately, but that relief has yet to reach Korean consumers here. For more, we are joined by our economic correspondent Jun-hong tonight. Welcome, Jun-hong.
Great to be here, Dami.
So, Jun-hong, I filled up my car yesterday, and it looks like gas prices across the country are still pretty steep.
Right, they're quite still high. I visited a gas station in Seoul that is known for offering relatively low prices, but gasoline was still selling nearly 2,000 won, or about $1.31 per liter. Nationwide, the average price stood at around 1,600 won before the Middle East conflict, but has remained above the 2,000 won range since mid-April. Drivers I met said the high cost of fuel remains a burden.
Gasoline prices are just too high. I drive long distances for work, so fuel costs have become a major burden. I spend nearly twice as much on gas as I used to.
I never imagined diesel prices would climb this close to 2,000 won a liter. It reminds me of past economic crises.
The global oil market, however, is telling a very different story. By Wednesday, global benchmark Brent crude had dropped below $80 a barrel. U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate also fell below $80. It was the first time in more than 3 months that both benchmarks had traded under that level.
Well, Jun-hong, there seems to be a clear gap between global oil prices and oil prices here in South Korea. When will that gap eventually begin to close?
Well, experts say there's typically a 3-week lag, and that's mainly due to the distribution process. Much of the fuel now being sold was purchased at higher prices. Here's how one expert explains it.
There are 2 stages of delay. One is between global oil prices and refiners, and the other is between refiners and gas stations selling that fuel. Altogether, it usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks for lower oil prices to reach consumers.
The bigger challenge now is getting the supply chain back on track. Oil refining and export facilities across the Strait of Hormuz were damaged during the conflict and are expected to take time to return to normal operations. Shipping has also yet to fully recover, with thousands of vessels still waiting to move through the waterway after weeks of disruption. Experts say supply conditions won't fully recover to pre-war levels until infrastructure is restored and geopolitical tensions ease. They say that process could take more than a year.
So it looks like it's going to take some time. Now, the government has been capping gasoline prices for months now. Jun-hong, it looks like that's going to continue, right?
For now, the answer is yes. So the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Resources had been expected to announce the next phase of the gasoline price cap tonight, but instead decided to extend the current ceiling. With the ceasefire still in its early stages, officials say they'll watch market conditions a little longer before making any changes. While no timeline has been given, the government says the current measure is only a temporary extension. As a result, the price ceiling for retailers will remain at 1,934 won per liter for gasoline and 1,923 won for diesel. For consumers, the price cap has helped keep fuel prices in check for more than 3 months. Removing it too soon could push gasoline prices even higher.
There's no doubt the price cap has helped limit fuel price increases in Korea. In countries without such a policy, including parts of Europe and the United States, retail prices of gasoline nearly doubled.
Yet compensation for refiners remain a sticking point. The industry says it has suffered inventory losses by selling fuel produced for more expensive crude under the price cap. But differences over how those losses should be calculated mean negotiations are likely to continue. Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry also stepped up its response earlier today. Finance Minister Yun-chul convened the Consumer Price Task Force meeting, saying the easing of immediate risks do not mean the challenges are over. He also unveiled additional support measures, including fuel subsidies and expanded discount programs to help ease the burden on households.
Well, while those additional measures are being rolled out, it looks like it's going to take some time until those effects of the conflict will ease and fade away. Jun-hong, thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you.